Hello YouTube, this is Dark bringing you the third section of the Koolo bot for Diablo 2 Resurrected. This time we're going to be adding a character. I'm going to show you both single player and multiplayer, or online, however you want to put it, and what you need to do to add those. Single player, I'm going to start with that because it's a little bit more tricky. By default, Koolo is going to say it doesn't have any characters that are found. That's because we haven't added one yet. It's also because Koolo does not store single player character files in the same location that Diablo 2 Resurrected does. So in order to do this, we need to create, they're calling it a supervisor name, but think of it like a profile name so that you understand which bot you're using. You can name it whatever you like. I usually name it the character name so that I don't forget. We need to pick the class of that character. And yes, one of these classes has to be picked or else it's not going to work. In my case, I'm using a Hydra Orb Sorceress and the character name is just Dark. We don't have any class-specific settings for this just yet. This may change in the future, but for now, we don't have those. Used teleport when available. Obviously, you can use these other options as well. Always stash to shared tab. So basically, instead of using your personal stash, you can use the shared tabs, which is a really nice feature. You can identify a cane instead of using your tome of identify. And then here's that centralized picket option that we would have had to set up in the previous step in order for that to work. So don't worry about that. You know, if you're looking for a picket list, I'll show you where to find it here in a little bit at the end of this probably so that you can edit it. And then client launch options and arguments. So there are numerous arguments that you can use for Diablo 2 Resurrected. I'm not going to go into this too much. I don't know why you would need to use this unless you have a specific use case, in which case you probably already know what to do. However, we do have some boxes we can check if you would like. The default options are kill D2 process on bot stop and hide portraits. I would suggest that. I think those are good options. You can also use classic mode for legacy graphics if that's something you're into. And then you can close the mini panel at game start. So basically like the legacy graphics, that's what you would do. So you have a couple of options here. You don't have to do these obviously, but they're available to you if you would like to. We're going to skip the battle.net settings for now, because like I said, I want to show you the rest of this. And also I want to show you how to get single player working, and then I'll back up and do this later. But this is really not that difficult. Username, password, realm, authentication, and then I'll talk about the token in a little bit. Scheduler, you can set it ranges from when the bot should start and stop automatically. You can set it for the same day if you want to have breaks, or basically like if you want to kill the game randomly throughout the day so that it's not just running 24/7, which I would highly recommend, by the way. It makes it look less like a bot if it's being stopped and then not used just like a human would do. You know, typically you're not going to be playing for like 72 hours straight on a game. It can happen. Some of us are that hardcore, but on average, that's not going to be the normal person. So if you want to do that, you just click enabled, and then you can pick your time ranges for each of the days, which is really, really cool. And then you would just hit add time range, and then there you can see that you can do multiple time ranges for each day, and then you can delete the ones that you don't want if you screw one up, or if you just want to change it. Next, we're going to go to health settings, health at percentage. What they're talking about here is using health and mana potions as well as rejuvenation potions, and what percentage of health are you going to use that health potion? What percentage are you going to use the mana potion at? What percentage of life are you going to use that rejuve potion? And what percentage of mana are you going to use that rejuve potion, if at all? Most people generally don't use rejuve potions for mana. We pretty much just use it to recover life instantaneously so that we don't get obliterated by something really nasty. And then you also have chicken. Chickening means to leave the game so that you don't die. I'm assuming if you put this to 0, the bot will not chicken. I have yet to test this. I apologize. I meant to, but I kind of forgot about it. I will leave a comment or in the description whether or not that's true. I will test it myself and find out if it is capable of not chickening, and then if it's capable of picking up its body or not. We'll find out. Belt layout. This is exactly like Atoll. A lot of this is going to be like Atoll and Golbot. Belt layout, column 1, 2, and 0, 1, 2, and 3. So columns are vertical, Typically, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4 on your keyboard for your potions. So we have healing, mana, and rejuvenation. You can change these to whichever you would like, and the bot will pick up and place them or buy them in the case of healing and mana potions and place them into the correct belt slots. If you do not do this right, it will likely toss out the ones that you have. Mercenary settings or merc settings. You can use a healing potion on your mercenary, which is really nice, just like Koolo Add and Atal. And we can choose which percentage to do that at. We can use rejuvenation potions also if we choose to do that. And then we also have Merc Chicken. I personally don't really care that much if my mercenary dies. So for me, I would probably change that, but feel free to do whatever you want there. This inventory is extremely important. So before you start the bot, log into your character, whether it be single player or multiplayer, and make sure you examine your inventory and figure out which slots that you want to keep. So in my case, I have 5 columns, and then I have 2 sunders that are located in these positions. So your inventory is 4 by 10. It is 40 slots. And all you got to do is open up your inventory and look at it, and you will see where you have your charms. And then you just replicate it in here as if you were, visually picturing it, or just keep your Diablo 2 Resurrected window open. That would work as well. Game settings only applies to online play. So if you want to use this online, I would highly suggest that you come in here and edit this section. If you want to create lobby games, what they're talking about is public games. So games where other people can join you. And if you want to do that, you can use whatever game name pattern you want. So like for me, for example, I can use my name with a dash, and then it will add numbers. We can add a password if we want to. If you leave it blank, it will be public. We have game difficulty, and we have max game length in seconds. So max game length in Diablo 2 Resurrected is not nearly as important as it is in Legacy Diablo 2, because we don't have to deal with realm downs. But either way, this is in seconds. So if we change this to 600, for example, that's 600 seconds. That would be 10 minutes. So change this to whatever you like. I would not suggest very super short games unless you are running single player. If you're running single player, this really doesn't matter much, because number one, it's not going to use that stuff. And number two, you're offline. It doesn't make any difference how long the games are, unless you're just trying to keep the times down to keep them as quickly as possible. Anyway, run settings. So on the left side are the runs that we are going to run, and on the right side are the runs we are not going to run. So in my case, I actually don't want Pit or Arachnid Lair. I do want Ancient Tunnels and Dariel. Cows. Duriel is fine. And we can do lower cross chests, which is really awesome. That's so helpful. Mausoleum, we can do Mephisto. Nilithak. Pindleskin, I'm going to skip those. Summoner, Tal Raja's Tomb. Just some options you have. I'm going to do Terror Zone too. And, okay, so once you have the ones you want to run, you can literally drag these to whichever place you would like them to be located. So you can either do randomized runs, which if you're online, highly recommend you do randomized runs. If you are not online and you're running single player, it's not going to matter. Do this however you want to do this. It's not going to make any difference whatsoever. So, but I'm just going to give you like an example of what I would do. Let's do this. And then, yeah. So I probably do something like this. If I, was like online and I wanted to do it randomized or not, then you would do it that way. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Gambling does work, and you can enable it, and then it will gamble your gold, and you will try to find those GG rares. I believe this would be related to your picket files still. It doesn't say that here, but the only way that could work, as far as I'm concerned, is through your picket files. So again, something I will touch on briefly at the end of this video when I show you how to make sure that you get your single player files copied over. Cube recipes enable the bot to automatically cube item recipes. You can do this. And what that does is you can select upgrades for runes. You can select caster amulets. We have caster rings. We can upgrade, like I said, our runes. We can get token of absolution, which is really cool. Lots of really neat options in here. So this is a particularly nice option here, especially if you're going to use caster amulet creation, and as well as perfect rubies for caster rings. So if you don't know, when you create caster amulets and rings, you need amethysts and p rubies for those, p amethysts and p rubies. And if you use those to re-roll your charms, your grand charms or your small charms, what that will do is it will end up using the stuff that you want. And you don't want to do that. So anyway, leader mode is still in testing as far as I know. I have not tested this yet, but I'm going to try to do so very, very soon. Keep in mind that a lot of this stuff is kind of like, beta status or work in progress status. So results may vary. For now, I would suggest you just run a singular bot. It's also probably safer to run one bot rather than multiples. So keep that in mind as well. And then last but not least in this section, we have back to town settings. So no health potions, no mana potions, mercenary is dead, and equipment is broken are all options. I like to select all of them personally so that the bot doesn't get slowed down. I'm not exactly sure why this happens. It could be because I have the D2R.exe blocked from going to the internet right now. But either way, even if you get this, don't worry about it. It does seem to still work. So don't worry about that. And then let me briefly touch on where to put our single player files in order to use them inside of Koolo. So we need the map file, we need the key file, and the D2S file at least. You can copy the rest of this if you want to, and it will still work, into the mods folder. And then you'll see there's a newly created Koolo folder. And as you can see, I've already done this, but yours won't have that. So then you're just going to paste. In my case, I'm going to replace, and then we're good to go. So just keep this in mind and understand that that's how you would basically run the single player files into Koolo so that you can actually select and use them. If you don't do this, it's not going to find the character. It's going to have a blank screen when it tries to log in. So understand that that's how that works, and that is how that is going to need to be set up if you want to run single player only.